All right, I think we can start our webinar today. So, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful Sunday uh, afternoon. My name is Gregory. I'm the migration expert of the World Repatriation Agency Israel. So, for those who are still not quite sure who we are a consulting company based in Netanya, Israel, and we are helping Jewish people from all over the world to repatriate to Israel comfortably, safely, and fast. We are operating since 2014, and we have already helped a couple of thousands of Jewish families to repatriate and obtain Israeli citizenship. 4 years ago, we have expanded to the West, particularly to the US, Canada, South America, because unfortunately today, and it is one of the topics that we will discuss today, the matter of urgent security for Jewish people in these regions became also a big factor for people to consider Israeli citizenship much more seriously than about 5 years ago. So today, the topic of our webinar is repatriation to Israel, analysis of facts, figures, and answers to your questions in 2025. So we will be answering the hottest questions regarding life in Israel, Israeli citizenship, and we will discuss why it is important to repatriate today, why it is important to not delay it any further. We will talk about a little bit about the Israeli economy. We will talk about the opportunities living in Israel, community, security, trends, statistics. So we'll try to cover most of the important things that are actual today and are important to know today if you are considering seriously to obtain Israeli citizenship. So, dual citizenship, why it matters today. Um, First of all, of course, it's growing global instability, the anti-Semitism, the frequent geopolitical shifts. So this is a complex issue rooted by its history, ideology, and practical reality. So frequent geopolitical shifts are a powerful motivator for making aliyah. So let's find a link. The core idea is that for many Jews, Israel represents a homeland, and especially in the world where Jewish security as a minority is often being challenged. So let's break down the key reasons. So we have the push factors and we have the pull factors. So when we are talking about the push factors of why it is important to why people repatriate today, um, we can talk about the history. So Jewish history, in a large part, it's a history of displacement and persecution tied to geopolitical changes. So when something geopolitically shifts in the world, Jewish community is often the one to be blamed, the one to be targeted. So let's remember a couple of main examples of this geopolitical shifts. So, for example, we have the this golden age myth. So we have a period of tolerance and prosperity for Jewish communities. For example, before the 1492 in Spain, before the 1930s in Germany. Um, it was always followed with violence, expulsions, pogroms when the political climate changes rapidly and unexpectedly. So we have, of course, we have the Holocaust as an ultimate lesson, and it really shows how quickly a seemingly secure period for Jewish population can change unexpectedly and horrifically. So when the geopolitical structure shifts, um, Jewish people are the ones to blame. We can talk about the post-Soviet exodus. So in the 1980s and the early 90s, when the borders in in the Soviet Union first opened, a million Jews from that region repatriated to Israel and became Israeli citizens because they fled the anti-Semitism and they were seeking freedom. So learning this lesson, it is really when the political wind changes, minorities, especially Jews, they are often the first ones to be blamed, and Israel is sort of like an antidote for this vulnerability. So Israel was created in one of the reasons why Israel was created is that when the geopolitical shift happens, and historically we can see that Jewish community is being blamed most of the times. There is now a place where Jews can go and feel safe. Then we have the rise of anti-Semitism and political instability. So let's talk about something more modern. So we have the economic downturns. So it's the blame the Jews, of course. When economic crisis happens worldwide, Jewish community is usually the one who is being targeted. So we can talk about the political polarization. We have the rise of populist movements, both on the left and the right. So we can talk about the far right, where it's just classic anti Semitism, and far left, the anti Zionists, but these ones are often they blur into anti-Semitism usually. And what's very important to discuss is the earliest stages of something bad really happening. That's usually the attacks on Jewish institutions. This is one of the things that for example, my clients usually tell me about the stories, the attacks on the synagogues, the incident in Manchester, of course, one of the recent ones. We have the school attacks at schools, community centers, and these are often seen as early warnings. These are early warning signs of a much bigger breakdown of anti-Semitism. So you really need to pay attention to that. If you're having this in your area, don't take it as something that just happened just because. It's always an early warning that something bigger is about to happen. And as we can see, unfortunately, today in the U.S. and the U.K., the attacks at schools, synagogues, is one of the most often reasons why people start to consider repatriation seriously. But let's talk about something positive. We have the pull factors. So the pull factors is how Israel reacts to anti-Semitism and the geopolitical shifts that lead to this anti-Semitism and targeting Jewish communities. So the pull factors, one of the biggest ones is of course is the law of return. Every Jew has a right to come back home and repatriate and become an Israeli citizen. So, by having this law, Israel literally tells you you will always have a place to go. No matter what happens, no matter how the geopolitical climate shifts, there's always a place where you will feel safe and where you will always be welcomed, appreciated, and loved. Another pull factor, it's Israel is a Jewish majority state. So if you are a minority community in your country, Israel is a Jewish majority state. So you don't need to explain your identity to anybody. You don't need to explain why you celebrate certain holidays. Jewish holidays are national holidays in Israel. Don't need to explain that. Don't need to explain why you look a certain way, why you act a certain way. Um, you are surrounded by the same people, right? And self-determination and self-defense, of course, is the IDF. IDF, one of the most technologically advanced militaries in the world, which was created to protect Jewish people. Um, Rising anti-Semitism in Europe and in the US. So the increase in violent attacks and hate speech in countries like France, the UK, and the United States following various political shifts and conflicts led many to question their long-term future in these countries. So this is why it is important and it matters today. Um, Protection for family and wealth, a future-proof legacy for next generations. Yes, that's what we talked about. All right. Why Israel? Why Israel? There are so many places you can go to. Why Israel? Well, honestly, where else is a better place for Jews to repatriate when we're talking about a reason like anti-Semitism? But why Israel? So we have automatic rights for Jews. Um, so you don't need uh, investments, real estates. You don't need to stay in a country for years to become a citizen. You are automatically eligible for repatriation if you were born Jewish. You were born a Jew, you have rights to become a citizen. Fast and simple process. So, unlike many other citizenships where you need to stay in the country for a very long time, we're talking about years, Israeli citizenship doesn't operate this way. It is done pretty fast, it is done pretty simple. Yes, it takes time and it requires effort, focus, but not as much as getting like citizenship in, for example, some European countries. So it can be done within a couple of months, 6 months, 6 from 10 months. This process can be finalized. Can be done much faster. Uh, if you have somebody who's organizing this process for you, if you're having somebody who is providing logistics, etc. So um, it's dual citizenship friendly. You don't need to renounce your original passport. So, for example, if you're born in the US and you are repatriating, you don't need to renounce your US citizenship. You don't need to renounce your UK citizenship or French or German. You can always have two passports, three, four, depending on how many citizenships your original state allows. Can have as many. I have stories. I have a client who had 6 citizenships. So at some point, people just started to collect them. And it's a home for Jewish identities. We talked about it previously. It's a place where you don't need to hide your identity. And I think this is a big factor today for people. I've spoken to a lot of clients from the US, from all over the place, from Europe, from the US, where people tell me about how they are hiding their Jewish identity, how they are not wearing, stop wearing kippahs and stop celebrating Jewish holidays, and people are really just erasing and self-censoring their Jewish identity just to blend in, just to feel safer, just to, you know, not create too much attention, and it's horrible. Next, probably the one of the most important things you need to know is how to apply for Jewish citizenship. So, uh, five factors that you need. One of them to apply successfully for Jewish citizenship. So, first of all, of course, you need to be Jewish. If you are born a Jew, have Jewish parents, and can provide documents that prove that you're Jewish. How to prove that you're Jewish? Well, first of all, if you are, for example, in the U.S., you can just go to a synagogue that you go to on a regular, and ask a rabbi to provide a letter for you, where a rabbi vouches for you to be Jewish, and knowing you personally. Uh, or you can be not born a Jew, but you can convert and make Gior. You can convert to Judaism. It will take you a couple of years. You will receive a certificate of a successful conversion, and this will be enough for you to be eligible for Israeli citizenship and to make Aliyah. Who else is eligible? So we have children and grandchildren of Jews. That's mostly for people who are repatriating from the CIS region. through Native. This is where people need to prove that one of your great grandmothers, one of the four great grandmothers that you have, is Jewish. And you'll provide documents that prove that and link yourself to that person. So you'll find documents on your great grandmother, your grandparents, your parents, and yourself, and link these documents together. And in this way, you can be considered a generational Jew. You are eligible for repatriation up to 3 generations. So, as we know, Jewishness is linked through the mother's side, through the mother's line. So, once there is only a male Jew in your family tree, that's where you start to count down the generations. Up to 3 generations uh, can be eligible for repatriation. Then we have situations where people are not Jews, not converted. Is there a chance to be an Israeli citizen? The answer is yes. If you are married to a Jewish person and you are not Jew, if you are officially married, you can safely repatriate with your spouse and become an Israeli citizen. And the last way to repatriate is if you are a widow, pardon me, a widow or widower of Jews. So if your spouse is Jewish and you have not remarried again, this is very important. So after your spouse unfortunately being passing, if you have not remarried after, you are still eligible for repatriation and to become an Israeli citizen. Okay, now let's talk about the statistics and Israel in numbers. To be honest, I'm not the strongest in numbers, but we can look at this statistics together and let's comment on it. So we have the population, Israeli population. So it has grown, it is growing. It has grown 2.2% since last year. Now the population of Israel is 10.3 million people. It includes about 200,000 Jews originally from the US, about 1 million from the CIS region. So this is Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, etc. About 2 million Arabs and about 7 million Jews born originally in Israel. Okay, then we have the economy. So, economy. Uh, let's talk about the GDP first, per capita. So it has grown 11%. Here on the graphs, we can see the statistics from 2020. We can see the statistics today. Well, 2025 is not finished yet, so our statistic is 2024. And we have the predictions for 2027. Anyway, if we just look at the graph, we see that it's growing. It looks great. It looks like it's going up. And today, still, as I said, the year hasn't finished yet. For 2024, it's $42,000 per capita. It is prognosed to be up to 47,000, about 47,000 in 2027. If we're looking at this star, at the link, uh, so we have the GDP per capita in the US, for example, it's $67,000. In the UK, it's $63,000. So it's not there yet. That's true. But I wanted to show this graph just to show that GDP is growing and it's getting there. It's getting there. It's not there yet, but it's growing and it's coming to like the US, UK standards. Then we have the tech exports. It has grown 60% since 2020 to $72 billion dollars. And I want to talk about this a little bit more. So Israel has established itself as a leader in several high-tech and strategic fields, and particularly in technology, cybersecurity, and military defense. So, if we're talking about the technology and cybersecurity, Israel invests a higher percentage of GDP in research and development than most other countries and has the highest number of scientists and engineers per capita in the world. So, per capita, we have the most scientists and engineers in the world. We'll talk about the universities later, but the universities are globally recognized in fields like computer science and engineering. Like one of the best universities, faculties are in Israel. Then we have the cybersecurity. It's a cybersecurity powerhouse. But in 2021, 40% of all global private cybersecurity investments were given to Israeli companies. So it's a big hub for cybersecurity. Then we can talk about the medical and the biotech. Of course, it's a thriving life science industry. The sector is composed of over 1,380 companies, where a half of it is just dedicated and focused on medical devices and high quality human resources. So Israel has one of the highest ratios of physicians per capita in the world, ensuring a strong foundation for both medical practice and research. Um, so, oh, of course, and the unemployment rate. So, as I told many of my clients, it is almost impossible to be unemployed in Israel. As we can see, 2.6% unemployment rate is absolutely amazing, I think, in my humble opinion. And well, of course, we have a smaller population than let's say USA, UK, but still 2.6% unemployment rate is a unique, uh, absolutely a unique number, especially for people who are worried where regarding their job opportunities, career opportunities, if they're going to find a job in Israel when they will move here, if they will be able to find a job. Here, as you can see, the unemployment rate is very low, so I don't think you'll be part of that 2.6%, honestly. Aliyah numbers, trends, please just look at these statistics, see the growth. In 2020, it was around 20,000. By 2025, by October 2025, it's around 57,000 people repatriating, making Aliyah. So I don't think I'm going to comment on that. I think we've already spoken about the reasons of why people are doing this. We see what the world has brought us to as Jews in living outside of Israel. So these numbers shouldn't surprise anybody. Um, yeah, let's resume and summarize everything we've talked about today. Why do Jews continue to make Aliyah? So here we have a pattern. For example, what we talked about when we talked about the political shifts. So a geopolitical shift happens. Let's say it's a new government, economical crisis, whatever. The shift threatens the stability and security of the local Jewish communities, and it leads to direct violence and rise of anti-Semitism. Just look at Israel as a place where it's safe to live in. But I want you to understand a very important thing. Aliyah is not just about fleeing danger. It's not about just escaping the anti-Semitism, etc. It's a choice to build a life uh, in one nation that guarantees them a home no matter what happens in the wider world. So it's not about just saving yourself from the anti Semitism, the global anti Semitism. It is a choice to live at a place where you belong, where you are welcomed and appreciated. Uh, Education. I want to talk about education as well. So our some of our clients are not all grown. They are well. considered adults, but still looking for education, looking to start a career in Israel. So they are, of course, wondering about uh, education. So here are three, in my humble opinion, three best universities in Israel. So it's the Tel Aviv University, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and the Technion. So here is approximately, of course, it depends on what faculty you are choosing, but this is like an average yearly cost for education in these top three universities in Israel. So as you can see, it's around 15 grand per year for English speakers. Well, for my US audience, I think you know the numbers are better than I do, but I have Googled, I have seen these numbers, so here you are. This slide is especially for you guys. All right. Benefits of Israeli citizenship. So the first point, the visa-free travel for more than 160 countries. That's mostly for people from the CIS region. So the Israeli citizenship gives you visa-free entrance to many countries. Then we have access to Israeli and global banking and investment, full health coverage, and education benefits. Um, Full health coverage. So when you repatriate, when you make Aliyah, for the first 6 months, Israel provides you with free state health insurance. For the first 6 months, you have full health coverage for free. Um, and then after that, you just need to pay for it as a resident. If you're a non-resident, you don't need to pay any taxes. Don't pay for state health insurance. You can just have private health insurance. It is much cheaper than probably anywhere else where there is provided that level of Medicare, like in Israel, um, is the cheapest and the one of the best. Um, Option to live part-time or permanently. So it's your resident or non-residency status. Um, Again, as I said, if you are a non-resident, you are still the same citizen as anybody else. It's only the residency status. So many people confuse Aliyah with the residency status. So you are making Aliyah regardless. If you are coming here to just to apply for your citizenship, get it and keep your center of life somewhere else, you are just not receiving the benefits that were created for residents only, for residents specifically. Um, Secure fallback for global uncertainty. So, yes, no matter what happens, Israel provides you with a home, a safe place to be. So, Israel today. So, honestly, when people think of Israel, they often picture a region that is defined by conflict. The reality of life in Israel today is very different, and despite of the ongoing tensions, uh, Israel still managed to build one of the most secure, advanced, and resilient societies in the world. And for American Jews in particular, for European Jews, what's striking is the contrast, not between Israel and its neighbors in the Middle East, but between Israel and growing sense of insecurity in the West. So rising anti-Semitism in the US, in Europe, and even in leading universities has reminded many people that being Jewish abroad is not always safe. You can sometimes feel unsafe. In Israel, is the opposite. Here, if you are Jewish, it is the norm. It is open, it is visible, it is celebrated, and it is protected. So on the so Israel offers an extraordinary mix of freedom, innovation, and belonging. Um, It's a country that turned constant pressure into creativity, creating one of the best cybersecurities, one of the best militaries. We have the IDF. We have the oh, this is the military, um, and one of the best senses of culture and self-identity. Uh, Having that as an Israeli citizen, having that by receiving Israeli citizenship is why it is so valuable today. And if someone who is Jewish, who still considers whether becoming Israeli or not, still considering, I really hope that today's lecture, I'll be honest, it was my first lecture that I gave here today. Maybe somewhere it was a little weak, but I really tried to explain in the best I could today why it is so valuable. So, thank you very much for your attention. This was all I wanted to say that I have prepared for you today. Today we can now we can get to the questions. So let's see what questions you have. One second. All right. So we have a couple of questions that were given to us when people were registering for this webinar. So, how do I get, first question, how do I get an Israeli passport? Um, all documents proving my family identity as Jewish were lost when my grandmother passed. How do I confirm that I am Jewish without family documents? Again, it depends on where you're from. So if you are from the U.S., for example, you can just get a letter from a rabbi. If a rabbi knows you personally, can vouch for you being Jewish, you won't probably won't need these documents, and you can just get a letter from a rabbi. If you are from a different country, like any country from the CIS region, and your documents that prove that you are Jewish from your grandmother were lost, you can always use the archivists. We can help you with that. You can just contact us directly. How does dual citizenship work? Very easily, depending on where your center of life is going to be. You are a citizen of two countries, a country that you are originally from, and Israel. So, if you are a non-resident, if your center of life is somewhere outside of Israel, you are not obligated to pay taxes, not obligated to pay for health insurance. You just don't have that state health insurance. So, you are Israeli citizen, non-resident, who you can come to Israel anytime you like, um, but you can stay there permanently unless you change your status to a resident. Um, I'm interested in dual citizenship. I plan to make Aliyah, but not now. With everything going on, I believe that I need to start making preparations now. Correct. Start making the preparations now. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in a week. It's an ongoing process. It requires a lot of paperwork. It requires a lot of patience. And as we discussed earlier today, it's always a good idea, especially today, to have Israeli citizenship, even if you are not planning to live here, if you're not planning to move to Israel anytime soon. Uh, there are reasons to get it as soon as possible if you are Jewish. Can converts make Aliyah? What if your spouse is not Jewish? Converts, yes, they can make Aliyah, but you need an official certificate of your conversion. Many people convert online or just self-converted, as they say. It is not. It's not it. You need You need an official conversion to Judaism, and to make it official, you need a certificate of your conversion, of your giur. What if your spouse is not Jewish? Yeah, we talked about it previously. If your spouse is not Jewish, she will still become an Israeli citizen because he is married to a Jew. Um, so I believe that's all the questions we have so far. Let's see. I believe that's it. Uh, Thank you very much for your attention. It was, yeah, subscribe to World Repatriation Agency Israel. Now on the social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can visit our website, World Repatriation Agency Israel, welcome/israel.com. If you are interested in obtaining Israeli citizenship, you can also contact me directly. My name is Gregory. It was a pleasure being here talking about Israel, talking about the Israeli citizenship. Thank you very much. We're going to have this webinar lecture probably every month. We're going to evolve. We're going to make it more interesting, more. Um, i- we're going to make it more fun. And yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday. Toda rabba. Shalom. And see you soon.